that we should be worried about as a society. And again, I'm not a tax eat the rich kind of person, because check this out: the top 10% of earners pay 75% of all taxes.
That's right. And not to combat that, but to add the educational piece or the data behind it. JC, if you can throw that reference back up. Right in here, this shows the average or median income nationally, 39,000. And then it shows, where is it? I'm looking for taxes paid per individual if it was a fair budget, or if everybody paid their fair share. I think it was something along the lines of 13.5. Let's see if I can find it. Tax revenue, blah, 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 blah. Oh, where is that?
Either way, and it's going to be a number that is really, it's still inconceivable that people don't have.
Right.
And then you think about this, right? So all this does is continue to contribute to inflation, which continues to increase interest rates, which increase costs, which obviously makes the debt clock spiral go faster, right? Because now your debt service continues to go up. But even back on the family side, so Primerica released a report about a month ago showing that 46%, almost half of all middle income earners in the country have either severely cut or cut out altogether contributing to their 401k.
That's right.
So how in the hell do we help these people?
You know, what comes to mind, John, these statistics you share are pretty eye-opening. The concept of a Ponzi scheme is what comes to mind. You know what I mean? There's a debt spinning out of control that we all know, and anybody with any education level knows it's the numbers simply don't add up for it to ever get paid back.
Correct.
Meanwhile, the top 10% are making a huge, money hand over fist out off of equities within the same system that are going through the roof.
It's very true. And it's a bit of a conundrum.
You have to recognize that's,
without a doubt. So just the reality is, the only way you fix this is ultimately you've got to cut out spending.
Yeah.
Slowing it down doesn't even do anything, because your debt service is still so high.
Let's do that. Let's break down real quick for the folks. What I was looking for was right here. So essentially we've got 4.9 trillion in revenue, and we're going to talk about what revenue is generated, how they can generate it. But per citizen revenue is 14,783. Did you pay more than that in taxes? Pay more than that in taxes?
The key word there is citizen, which implies legally here too.
That is correct. That is very good. And they separate a couple of these things. That's not one of them. Now, the concept that I'm articulating here is, if people say everybody needs to pay their fair share, well, everybody's fair share is $14,783.
Right.
So if you paid over that, then technically you are paying more than your fair share into this thing called taxes.
Correct.
Right? If you didn't pay anything, or you got a tax refund, anything along those lines, you're a part of the folks that are not paying their fair share. Logically, right? This is not an opinion. This is just using data.
You're using common sense, Mark. That's not fair. You can't do that anymore.
It's so true. It is so true. So guys, what ways does the U.S. government generate revenue? Because when you're dealing with, we'll call it a P&L, the only way to get your P&L back to black is increasing revenue substantially or lowering your expenses, which creates a bottom line for you.
Right. Taxes.
Yeah.
And
taxes.
and I would include all fees and taxes, driver's license, hunting license, all that is ultimately tax that is just renamed differently for different purposes. And then selling U.S. bonds. And even when you hear the term, and it comes up frequently because apparently we're very good at it or like to do it, you hear the term printing money, that we're going to print more money.
Yes.
It's not actually printing money. Money prints take place all the time. Currency's redone and up and renewed all the time. And you go to the bank and get fresh currency, but that's not what they mean. Printing money is the United States government buying its own bonds. When they buy its own bonds, that is they buy it from themselves and put it in this system where it's going to get paid back along with everything else.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
And that's what they call printing money.
The Ponzi scheme.
The Ponzi scheme, yes.
That one.
We would have thought of that, John.
No kidding. No kidding. There's definitely some multi-level marketing.
These are the real pros.
Yeah. And that figure that Andy is referencing is this large number right here, $629 trillion that is out there in bonds, out there in debt that is propping us up. And it leads to this idea of, okay, if the only way for the US to generate revenue is taxes and fees and selling bonds,